Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Starting with the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Beneficent. We have been looking for health planning, and we have health policy making, designing a health policy project. We have seen that certain important steps are must for the making of a health policy, and we have realized that after completing the job, we have to go for the planning and then for the assessment. So by going all through those steps, we have to see for the steps for the planning. After we have completed the job of what I can say, designing a project, making our mind, then we have to, first of all, we have to go for the situation analysis. So the situation analysis and actually the situation analysis, we have to first of all analyze the situation, whether this project or this policy or this program or this whatever we have in our mind, this project is workable or not. So the situation analysis and need assessment or issues identification, demographic factors which can affect, epidemiological factors, financial factors, economical and financial factors, physical resources, infrastructure, that whether those things can affect, help, negate, oppose our project, and allied facilities over there, utilization of the available resources, ecological factors, environmental factors, ecological and environmental factors, political environment, whether it's suitable or not for a project of the nature we are going for. After having a complete, comprehensive idea of the situation, of the society, of the community, of the region where we are working, of the union council, maybe a smaller region than that, of a sub-union council, we are in a position to realize that this project can go this way, and this is how this project can be implemented. Then the prioritization of the goals, objectives and targets. We have to see what are our goals, what are our objectives, and what targets, what points we have to reach. When we have decided, then we can prioritize. First what should be done, then after that what should be done. Programming PC1 and PC2, that is the design project designing. In fact, PC1 is the first computer report, programming report, and PC2 is the second report. PC1 actually is the initial report, and after we have sent it to the planning commission or to the deciding authority, to the Department of Health department, any other department where which it has to be recommended, then when they ask for the amendment, and the second report when it is prepared is the PC2. And I am very much clear that is PC1, it is PC1. Whenever something has been included in PC1, that can be considered in PC2 or even later on. But if something has not been included in PC1, then it has no role to be included in PC2. Say for example, if we want to say that we want to establish 10 dispensaries in one union council, so that when this project goes to the planning commission or to the deciding authority or to the recommending authority, they say no, 7 projects can be financed. So we can go for the 7. But if we have said that we want 10 projects in our union council, and say for example the resources allow us for the 11, it can never be 11. It will always remain lesser than that or up to that. It will not go beyond that. So I am quite clear that if anything has not been included in PC1, even if we know that we have to go for this project in 2-3 installments, in 2-3 years, in 2-3 recommendations, then even then we have to include everything in PC1. Then we can modify this project and then we can see it. So that PC2 is the final thing that cannot be changed, or even if certain amendments are required, then amended PC2 can be there, but anything cannot be included in PC2 if it has not been in PC1. And even if something has been included in PC1 and not recommended for PC2, and only PC2 asks only for some parts of PC1, the PC1 can be recommended at a later stage as well. Then is the implementation, monitoring and supervision. We have seen all those projects, all those things in detail. We know this will be PC3. PC3 contains implementation, monitoring and supervision of the project. The project has been implemented implemented. Now its monitoring and supervision is required, and that would be included in the coming computer programming after coming result, which tells after coming report, which tells that how was it implemented, and monitoring is going on. Proper supervision has been there. Then the project completion. Now the project, if it has been the plan has been program has been made, the project has been designed, it has been recommended, PC2 has been made, the financing has been done, now implementation, monitoring, supervision is done, and finally project has been completed. So completion report by other means says that the company or the designer or the project making company or the tender holding company is eligible for the remaining amount to be paid and is eligible for the certificate of the completion when all the articles given in the PC1 or guidelines or the direction or the steps to be taken has been completed. Then finally the evaluation. The department want to know the finance money has been useful to the people, the project has been useful to the people living of that living area, whether it's a good project or it's a useless project. The project can be amended, the project can be continued, or such projects can be established in the same area, in the relevant area, in the identical area, or in other parts of the province or of the country. Then they go for the evaluation. That is PC5, and that report actually reflects how the project was designed and how it was completed, and what monitoring, supervision, and of course implementation, how those steps were taken. That is very, very much important. Then I want to summarize the things, steps for health planning repeatedly asked. We expect from a postgraduate to be very much clear. So situation analysis first, then prioritization, then programming, then implementation, monitoring and supervision, project completion, and evaluation. And if evaluation says that our report says that the PC5 says that the done project has been useful to the people, and such projects can be further extended, or more projects can be of the same nature can be made in the relevant areas, then we go for the further projects. I repeat, monitoring little bit needs more explanation. It is a continuous review of the program of the activities to identify the problems and develop or modify approaches to address them. If monitoring is not there, sometimes the relevant people, the actors, they do not, whom we call actors, the stakeholders or the performers or the people completing the project, the labor, the other people, the directors, the technical people, the technical directors, other people, sometimes they are helpless to complete the project. So the monitoring is required. Monitoring is in fact a successive step. It's a successive step which helps us to modify the approaches, to change a little bit the approaches, to complete or to reach the goals, to achieve the objectives, the targets. So I repeat, is a continuous review of the program activities to identify problems and develop or modify approaches to address them. Monitoring is the observation of plan, objectives and targets, and identification of failures, and of course bottlenecks to take the remedial measures. So sometimes monitoring helps to the project to be completed in a given stipulated time, and helps the project to be a success, and monitors the help of the department, the help of the coordination of the other department, the monitoring of the technical people helps them to remove the bottlenecks and to achieve the targets given in the projects. Otherwise, if monitoring is not there, the program may stop at any stage, the program may change its direction, the people following may not be that much qualified, people may not be that much particular about the things, but the people who have to use them, who have to go with those projects, may not accept those changes. As a result of that, it may be a failure, or it's a half failure, or it's a half-hearted subject. So that will be a disaster. Then evaluation, the PC5 or the final assessment, or the final, what I can say, the final report of the subject PC5 is the periodic assessment of progress towards program goals or targets. Now we have established a project we first of all we design a project, then we established, then we went for the practical PC3, PC2, PC3, the of course implementation, monitoring and supervision, and finally the completion was there. Now we have to evaluate whether what we have done and how we have done, and whether it's a useful thing or not, and what changes we need to do in for such projects of the same nature in future. And that only comes with evaluation. If it's repeatedly evaluated, if people appointed for that purpose, or the direct people are coming, or from the people from outside has been appointed, or people from the same departments have been taken, competitor agencies are taken, the other help of the other relevant departments has been taken, but whatever it is, the evaluation of the project should be there. Whether we went for the, we can never say that we have been successful in eradicating polio until and unless we have the help of other departments, which of other agencies, of other departments or other people who can assess and say that 100% of the people has been vaccinated, 100% of the children has been vaccinated. So it is an observation of an activity in reference of resource inputs and achievements, outputs and our outcomes. This process evaluation examines relevance, effectiveness, efficiency and impact of activities. Whether the project design fits the design, actually designing the paper fits to the physical form of the design, whether it works effectively or it was just a paperwork and practically it has not been given that impact. Is it efficient? Its results are on the people, and of course, the impact of the activity. What are the impacts of the of activities on the life or the health of the people, and what we have been, what we have achieved out of it. Whether we have gone to achieve the agreed goals, or it's just a theory, and we could not make a proper impact of the things. So that is why evaluation has been required. Evaluation is the final report of a project, and if evaluation says the project was good enough and project has been matching with the physical form of the project, has been matching with the PC1 or PC2 of the project, that means it is a success. The difference between monitoring and evaluation has been repeatedly asked. So examine or the subject, first of all the difference I have tried to tabulate in this form. First of all the subject, obviously, then is the evaluation or monitoring. So subject is examine or identify. So what we have to examine in evaluation, we have to see the achievements, and what we have to see in the monitoring, that is the failures or bottlenecks or the hindrances or the, what I can say, the failures of the project. And in evaluation we have to see what we have achieved out of it. Monitoring is and the nature, subject is the nature, then is the nature is the cross-sectional at any time, anywhere, maybe at the end of the project, maybe after the project, maybe a year after the project, maybe in between the project. But monitoring has been a successive process. We have to evaluate, we have to, we have to monitor a project successively. It is a horizontal project, it's a long-lasting project, maybe every week, maybe every fortnight, maybe every second day, maybe every month, but we have to repeatedly monitor the project, and if certain changes are required, certain hindrances are there, certain successes are there, we have to identify them, and we have to guide our people in the project so that this should be done. Objectives, obviously, objective of evaluation should be guidance in achievement, and maybe go for the new projects, maybe objectives should be that our evaluation says that the project was a success, but it needs that much of the I can say amendments, and that will be useful for the new projects. And guidance, and in terms of monitoring, the objective is guidance in the failures. Wherever they are failing, wherever there is a stoppage, there is whatever it is, they have to interfere. And monitoring tells us that whether the pace or the direction of the project is fine or not. Then the result, obviously, as a result, if the evaluation says that the project was good enough and it has been of great help to the people, a new project can be started, of the same, maybe the same company may be acquired, same firm may be acquired, same agency may be acquired, or the help services of another agencies may be required, but the thing is that the project was a success. And if monitoring points out certain failures or certain hindrances or certain changes, then restructuring of the project will be required, and that is obviously by all means not a success. If it is not a failure, then it is not a success. So restructuring of the project will be required. Appraisal, by appraisal saying we mean the assessment prior to implementation, whether an activity should take place or not. We have to see that whether this activity can be done this way or this way. We have decided to implement a sort of a plan, but how it should be implemented, that is very much important. And evaluation is the assessment of activities after implementation. So evaluation is actually the end result, the evaluation of the end result, and appraisal is prior to the evaluation. So appraisal may be formative during implementation, summative after implementation, and evaluation may be done by outsider if it is a outsider, it may be impartial, but maybe not knowing much about the project, maybe not knowing about the impact of the project, maybe not knowing about the usability of the project, but is an outsider person, maybe a qualified, maybe a non-qualified, but from an outsider firm, maybe somebody is appointed from other department, somebody has been requested. The project of health department is been asked to examine by, say for example, by the construction department, by the civil department, by the department of buildings and building department. So that may not be that much helpful, but still it's an evaluation and that may have a value. Then is the services provider. Other people in the same business can be asked for, but there may be a biased report. The other competitor agency can come, the allied company may become, the same company which has completed this project may be asked. And finally, which I always give importance, I have always told you, the stakeholder, the main stakeholder, the end user or the living person of that society, the citizen of that area may be asked for the evaluation, and that is where we are very much concerned. If they are included, if they are a part of it, and they forget their own prejudice, they forget their own benefits, they forget their own personal or familial benefit, they can be useful. So a mixture of three: outsider, service provider and user, their evaluation will be of much help. And a mixture of three, if a mix of three may give an ideal result. Then is the surveillance. Surveillance, I first go for the definition, is the watch or guard kept over a person, especially a suspected person. By saying surveillance, we mean we observe a person who has been suspected for some disease, or who has been suspected for some illness, or who has been suspected for, who has been treated for something, and now we want to see his surveillance, how he can actually anybody kept under observation has been person under surveillance by definition. Public health surveillance means is the ongoing systemic collection, analysis, interpretation of the data and dissemination of health information to those who need to know in order that action may be taken. So very quite clear. For the public health surveillance, we means that we have to collect certain data and we have to disseminate this information. After collecting this, after systemic collection and analysis and interpretation of this data, when we reach certain result, we disseminate this health information to those who need to know in order to take some action. So that is where the surveillance, public health surveillance stands. Objectives of surveillance are to describe the ongoing pattern of disease occurrence and to link with the public health action. That is very much important. To detect changes in the pattern in order to initiate, investigate or control the measures. Then is important. Health services planning, evaluation of prevention and control measures. To study the natural history and epidemiology of the disease. To provide information and baseline data of the disease. So by saying this, we mean if we have the surveillance of some health problem of any area, we are in a position to refer this public health surveillance report to the people who can take action and who can help people by designing new projects or making new programs for the improvement of health in that area. That is what I mean to say why this topic has been included over here. The public health surveillance is a solid, a genuine help to the project designing as far as health of the people is concerned. Then is the coming back to the projects and the project development. The project requires sound planning, effective preparation and efficient analysis for a project development and completion. The following steps are to be taken. PC1, we all know that this is the initial report which can be submitted to the Planning Commission. PC2 is actually the feasibility report. We submitted PC1. It was analyzed by the Planning Commission. Now the Planning Commission says that this amendment is required. We have got first thing is that we have got such finances, and you have demanded 10 billion and we 10 million, and we can recommend only 5 million. Secondly, the feasibility our report tells that this project cannot be implemented in this area. So if you delete this area, then out of 10 projects, only 5 projects will be there, and that may be successful in 5 million. That may be completed in 5 million. So 5 million. So PC2, Planning Commission Form 2. I repeat, PC1 is prepared by the health supervisor or health technical person, and PC2 is also prepared by the health technical person. But the main thing is the health manager. But main thing is that the report now this program Planning Commission of this program of computer from Planning Commission has been made after the recommendations, after the half recommendations from the Planning Commission. So PC2 is a feasibility study to provide basic information relating to the main scheme on the basis of various research studies or surveys. This includes technical, financial, I have already told you, only repetition. This includes technical, financial, economical, managerial, social and regional information. Feasibility study is the initial study to determine practicability of a proposed health program or procedure and to appraise the influencing factors. PC1 is the basic form for the project. That was the initial form that we have the design. We have the design with us. We got this form, Planning Commission form from the Planning Commission. This is the basic form, contains all the requirement, contains all the steps in the required for the recommendation of a plan. This is PC1 scheme preparation and its following parts. The form contains following parts. I repeat, this is the description of the form, PC1 form for any project which you all need to know. A part of the project form or the Planning Commission form or the project computer form or the PC1, A part is the project digest. That contains basic information, nomenclature, sponsoring, execution, completion period, cost and objectives. This is a brief description, or you can say synopsis of the project. Then is the project part 2 or part B, that is the project description and justification, location, financing, capital, operational, recurrent cost, unit cost, relative analysis and project management. So all those things are included in, I repeat, part B of the PC1 form 1, and its part is B. Project description, justification, location, financing, capital, operational, recurrent cost, unit cost, relevant analysis and project management. Then is the part C, that project requirement, manpower, material, machines. Part D, that was the part C, which actually project that tells about the requirement of the project in terms of manpower, material and machines. So all those things are needed, and the technical requirement as well. Then is the Form D, the environmental aspect. What will be the impact of the project on the environment? Whether it's damaging, it's helping, it's whatever it is, we have to, now it's a must form. Previously it was not given importance. Nowadays as far as environment is concerned, everybody is looking for the environment. Government is interested in environment, so impact on the environment we have to give about the project. Then is the E form, the beneficiaries participation, how much participation will be from the beneficiaries. As far as the basic health centers and rural health centers are concerned, the beneficiaries participation is that they have to provide the land for the construction of the basic health center and rural health center. If they do not provide the land, then it is not possible to go for the basic health. Even the project cannot be considered, not recommendation, not considered, even if the land has not been provided and the transfer letter has not been annexed with the form. Then is the risk analysis. Obviously, as far as the form is concerned, what risks are there? The project can suffer a political shock, can be a economical shock, can be a environmental shock, can be a flood area, can be another thing. So all those risk factors are to be considered, and then the project can be, the form can be submitted. Then is the PC2 is the same thing, no need to describe. Actually PC2 is the reflection of PC1, only amendments can be made after recommendation from the or directions from the Planning Commission. Otherwise PC2 and PC1 are the same. PC2 is only the mention the area of the land or the financial expenditure or whatever other machinery or services are to be provided, those can be changed. Then PC3 is the monitoring. We have all considered implementation, monitoring, and obviously this the surveillance. This is a quarterly report, and the form is submitted in 3 weeks after the end of the quarter. It includes progress report of the quarter ending, financial status, physical status, bottlenecks, hindering progress, and the administrative status. So we all know that the Form 3 will tell the department that whether the project is going fine or not, or what are the hindrances over here. The evaluation is to be there, monitoring is to be there, but the role of evaluation obviously comes after the completion of the project. Monitoring is the successive assessment of the project, and we need to know what project, how the project is going on, and what are the bottlenecks or what are the failures in this project. Then finally, of course, PC4, that is the completion report. After the project has been completed, now the firm is entitled for the remaining amount, and the opening ceremony can be done, the facility can start working, or the program can start working, or the project can be on. So by having Form 4, PC4 submitted, we are in a position to go for the use of the project, or the what I can say, the availability of the project to the people. So this is submitted, PC4 is submitted on the physical completion of the project. It includes administrative authority responsible for sponsoring and executing, the date of actual start and completion of the project, the period of the project completion as initially planned, project history, any change in the scope, design of original scheme, and suggestions for planning and execution of the similar projects in future. So all those things are included in Form 4. Basically, the last line, that whether planning and execution of the similar projects in future should be done or not, that is a part of the Form 5 as well. And finally, of course, as I have already told you, for PC5, that is the evaluation, the report is required to reach the Ministry of Economic Affairs in April each year after completion of the report has been submitted. After completion report has been submitted, that evaluation actually is the responsibility of other people, and they tell whether the project was a success or not. And I have already told you that even a stakeholder or a user or a resident of that area or a political leader or Imam Masjid, anyone can be helpful in that evaluation, and maybe it opens up the gate for the new projects in the same area, or maybe this is the last project and the department will not be interested anymore for more projects if evaluation report is not supporting. Then is the Economic Coordination Committee, ECC of the Cabinet. That is just a theoretical thing to do. I just read it for you because this is included in your course. Is headed the ECC or the Economic Coordination Committee is headed by the Minister of Finance, Federal Minister of Finance, and members include Federal Ministers of Economic Ministries. It attends all urgent day-to-day economic matters and coordinates economic policies initiated by the various divisions of the government. It keeps vigilance on the monetary and credit situation and makes proposals for the regulation of the credit in order to maximize the production and exports and to prevent the inflation. It gives approval for the projects in private sector as well. Then is the obviously what those economic bodies are and how they allow. I have given the details and I've given the details and the powers of everybody. I just named the bodies. You can check it from here, or you can check from your I can say from your books. The first is the NEC, commonly named NEC. That is the National Economic Council, supreme policy making body, and they have no limit as far as financial allocations or permissions are concerned. NEC, National Economic Council, or supreme policy making body, they have no, I repeat, they have no limit. They can recommend anything, maybe whole of the budget is recommended by the NEC first, and then it goes to anywhere else. The chief executive person is the President or Prime Minister of the body as far as the political situation is in the country. Then is the ECNIC. ECNIC is the Executive Council of NEC, Executive Council of the National Economic Council, or the Economic Executive Committee of the National Economic Council, and they cannot recommend any project beyond 200 million Pakistani rupees, and the head is the chief is the chairperson is the Federal Minister for Finance. Then is the Central Development Working Party. They have limitations. They can recommend up to, for example, less than little bit less than 2,000 millions. Then obviously Provincial Developmental Working Party at number 4, they can recommend only up to 200 million. And then is the Departmental Development Working Party. They can recommend only 40 million, a little bit less, and it should not touch, it should not reach 40 million. So all those bodies are there. Wherever somebody's project fits, they can go there and they can see what is required. You can see the detail from here, you can see the details from books. It's given in your books and you have to describe them, and sometimes those are considered very much important if somebody is going for the project designing and even does not know where to submit this project, so that may be sort of a depressing point. Then is the Planning Commission. Obviously, if you go to Islamabad and you happen to be visiting Planning Commission, you will see how the planning has been done, how the project moves, how the project comes, and where the analysis of the project is done. And Planning Commission is working very much efficiently in this part of the world. The chairman of the Planning Commission is the Prime Minister, and comprises in addition to the Deputy Chairman, 9 members, including Secretary, Planning and Development Division, Member Coordination, Chief Economist, Director, Pakistan Institute of Development, Economic Affairs, Executive Director, Implementation and Monitoring, and members for the social sectors, Science and Technology, Minister, Energy, Infrastructure and Food and Agriculture Department. All those secretaries are members of this. In fact, 9 members are there other than the chairman and the director of this agency, of this Planning Commission. Its main function, what are the main functions of the Planning Commission? Its main function is to prepare 5-year plans of economic and social development. They give us plans, whether those are success or not, but they always give us plans whom we follow. The public sector development programs also fall under the domain of the Commission, and Commission has got a definite role in the economic management of the country. Meanwhile, that planning cycle and the planning commission and the planning ends, and we will continue with the next chapter next time. This is last chapter in the planning health policy and planning. I say goodbye. Thank you very much.